By the way, there were no prisons in Old Testament Judaism. And even in the New Testament, the Jews operated no prisons. The Gentiles had prisons, as we know. Paul was in a lot of them. The Jews operated no prisons. They were a part of the Roman social order because the prison didn't exist in the Old Testament. Oh, a makeshift sort of holding place is spoken of in the 37th chapter of Jeremiah, verses 15 and 16, but it was a temporary place to hold someone in a cistern. Prisons. In early America, even the Puritans had another form of punishment, physical punishment, followed by restitution for the crime through labor for lesser offenses, and banishment and even execution for the more severe ones. They had some places that we would call jails, but they were only for temporarily holding the offender until he could be corporally punished, until he could do labor to bring restitution, which was a way he could gain back his dignity. Or, in severe cases, he was either banished or executed. It was the Quakers who changed all that. It was the Quakers who introduced prisons in Pennsylvania. And the first prison in America was the Walnut Street Jail. And by 1790, the law established imprisonment. They called them penitentiaries because they thought if you lock them up there, they will become penitent. Today, we have learned it doesn't work. A really bad idea. We have the most prisoners in the world and the highest crime rate. Prisons are effective in creating more crime, more immorality. As one writer says, the American prison system is unbiblical, inhumane, ineffective, inefficient, and idiotic. The last statistic I heard is that we punish about 25 out of every 500 people who commit a crime. And in prisons, there's no way to restitution. In the Old Testament, Exodus 21 and 22, a thief could work to give back what he had stolen. Deuteronomy 25, someone who committed a crime would receive 40 lashes, and he would go from there. That's just a footnote. God ordains government to punish, but also to provide a path of restitution. There is a right for the government to punish. When human authority punishes violators of law, God approves of that punishment. For God Himself will additionally deal with the violator. The instruments then of punishment are human authorities. But the source of punishment is divine. When you see this breakdown, evil goes unpunished, criminals get away with things, when there's no path for restitution and a recovery of dignity, add that to marriages collapsing and the church going apostate, all God's institutions being violated, violently violated, it spells really the end of a society. And you're watching it. Politicizing won't change that. Only the gospel can change people. And changed people can change a society. Government is from God. To rebel is to resist God. To resist God brings punishment. Let me give you a fourth motivation behind our submission. Government serves to restrain evil. Government serves to restrain evil. Verse 3, following his argument, rulers are not a cause of fear for good behavior, but for evil. This connects closely with the last verse, obviously. Rulers are not a cause of terror, phobos, from which we get phobia. They're not to terrify us. They don't cause terror for good behavior, but for evil. Government serves to restrain evil. And government is not a cause for those who behave well to fear, but only to the evil. Rulers, key word there. Archontes. We have nothing to fear from our rulers if we keep the law. You say, well, is the law that universal that everybody knows what is good and what is evil? Yes. Yes,